Hello, and after an enforced absence, welcome back to Warren Thornton. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to WarrenThornton.com. We had a very, very nasty virus which laid us low for a few days. Thank you for your patience and understanding, but we are back and we do have an absolutely massive show for you tonight. We should be getting Lembit across to come and see us very shortly, but of course there is plenty for us to be talking about, and a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about tonight is to do with everything that's gone on over the last 48 hours, really. So let's have a little look just very, very quickly to show you what we're going to be talking about. There we are. We're just about to get Lembit to come and join us. 2 seconds and we'll pull him up. Just while we're doing that, please in the chat say hi, of course, to Shannon, who is joining us for the first time as a subscriber. And of course, she's very welcome here. Do make her at home, everybody. Very, very simply, Lembit will be joining us any second now. And of course, you're welcome, Shannon, and welcome to the show. And of course, by all means, just pop your hand up if you want to jump in and talk about anything at all. If not, the chat box is there for everybody to use. Now, welcome to the show. We will be being joined by Lembit very, very shortly. The first subject we have to start with, of course, has got to be the lunacy that has gone on to do with this. There we are, the lunacy that is Greenland. Welcome to the show, Lembit. How are you?
Not bad at all, you?
Much better and on the mend, thank you very much.
You weren't too well, so I'm glad that you're in better shape now.
Yes, not too bad. We're on the mend. We lost a few pounds, and it was
happy days.
Yes, exactly that. I've just got to get out and exercise the dog a bit more, and I'll be absolutely fine. Lembit, welcome to the show, buddy.
Great to be here.
Let's discuss the lunacy that has surrounded the nonsense that has gone on with Greenland. So we've had Trump 6 months ago turn around and said that he was interested in Greenland. Of course, the EU thought Trump was just having a moment, which is not the best thing in the world. And of course, it turned out that Trump wasn't just having a moment. They were deadly serious. This is really, really important for America's security because it's over 3,000 miles away from their shoreline, but it's very, very important, of course, for their security. Nothing to do with, of course, cutting off some areas that Russia might use or corralling Russia into one area. The simple thing then, of course, we've had the reaction from the EU when they found out that they're serious, Lembit. And of course, we've had a massive reaction as well, shall we say, from America coming back. First of all, a few countries sent small, idiotic amounts of troops into Greenland. And of course, Trump then turned around and said that there will be tariffs placed on those countries. And of course, at the moment, what we know is the Germans have pulled their troops out already. They weren't there for longer than 24 hours. German troops are heading on their way back home. Lembit, the whole Greenland saga, piracy on land, or are we just talking? Do America really have or need this place whatsoever? I mean, China and Russia aren't a threat here, are they?
I don't really think China and Russia are a threat anywhere outside Ukraine, and we provoked that. In terms of Greenland, trying to occupy it reminds me of something I thought when I was on a road trip in Australia. You would drive for 400 miles maybe and pass four houses. How would if somebody occupied Australia, how would anyone really know? Because most of it's empty. Greenland has 57,000 residents, 2,600 miles long and 2,600 kilometers long and 1,300 kilometers wide. And it's got an ice sheet which is thousands of meters thick in places. Occupying it is an entirely notional concept. Let's get to the brass tacks here. Trump's having a bit of a laugh. And as always, Trump says things which then the foolish fourth division players in Europe take seriously. Greenland's already said, you can do what you like here. We don't mind. Build your damn bases. Doesn't matter. But Trump seems now to have realized, because of the weakness of Europe, that he can actually saber rattle and everyone takes it seriously. Would Trump have really wanted to try something in Greenland? If Europe had been strong, absolutely not. But because Europe has been singularly so clownish in its behaviors, I'm beginning to think he might have a go now. The idea of a military takeover is ridiculous because then NATO has to attack itself, according to the Article 5. But what could happen, the truth is, what could happen here is that Trump does the one thing that would cause him to probably win, have a secret referendum, offer a couple of $1 million per household, and probably a majority say, I'll take it. If you offered them 10 million each, I'm pretty sure they would.
Yes, it'll be interesting to hear from Shannon in the comment section, actually, or if she wants to put her hand up and talk about it, because she's from Denmark, and of course, Denmark is Greenland at the moment is under the auspices of Denmark. The Greenlanders, there seems to have been quite a few protests in Denmark, from what I can see, against this happening. So you think it's just pretty much having a laugh, or you don't?
No, I thought he started like that.
Yeah,
but because Europe's so weak, he's now thinking, I could actually do it. And so the great thing about Trump is he hasn't actually lifted a finger yet to actually try to take over the Greenland, the island of Greenland. It's pretty absurd in a way because you just occupy the bits of the people in it, and most of it won't even know you're there. But I think that Trump is now playing with it just to see what happens, because that's what he does. It's like going around to think about buying a car. Until you actually pay the money, you don't own it. And I think he keeps just going around to look at the car and seeing how dumb the owners are.
Yeah, absolutely. And Shannon, by the way, is a male, not a female. Just so you know. Lovely.
You didn't.
No, exactly. I didn't. I'm the first to hold my hand up. And very, very simply, what we've got here, Lembit, because when we look in terms of minerals, Greenland have got some minerals, but it's not exactly an absolute. How can I put it? It's not teeming with it. So let's have a little look first of all. They've got some titanium and tungsten and one or two. They've got a bit of rare earth, some nickel, iron ore, graphite, gold, diamond, and copper. So I mean, there is a fair bit of it, but mainly what you're talking about is frozen tundra, right? Most of the time.
Yeah, the reason it's all around the edges is because you can't get to the stuff in the middle because it's really thick ice.
Yes.
That's why. And if somebody's thinking of mining it, welcome to the world of pain. I just don't know how you could even do that.
Yes. What we're getting, we do believe from Andy, 80% native Indian, 56K population in Greenland.
Yeah.
As long
One
as
other
it,
thing, just so that you know, the actual ice is something like 3,000 meters thick in the middle of Greenland. That's like 10,000 feet, more than twice the height of Ben Nevis. You're not
yes.
going to easily be able to drill through that.
Is this, I mean, we'll come to Nilus in a second, but really, is this a hill that the EU want to die on? I mean, they've died. I mean, it could be because they've died on so many stupid hills already, haven't they?
Well, I don't think Trump was actually going to do it. I actually think that Trump will pull back and say, "Well, I want to have 10 bases." Then they'll say, "Fine, okay, just do it," and it'll it'll settle into something you can do now, and for a
Yeah.
fraction of the cost. I have to say that Greenland wouldn't be worse off under America, I don't think. I mean, I don't think they'd be worse off, but it's not really my business. I've never been to Greenland actually. But all I'd say, and I'll be quiet now, all I'd say is that it's funny to see it because the European Union has no sway over Trump whatever now. And when you've got when you've got Keir Starmer calling him up, that Mr. Trump, I really don't think you should be invading and conquering Greenland. You can imagine Trump's just sitting there holding the phone, laughing his head off. You know?
Yeah, yeah, all having a good giggle. The problem that we have, don't we, is now, of course, that Europe have taken the bait, and from what I understand from Shannon, there's only about 20,000 Greenlanders on there, and the rest are in, I would say, other areas. So what I've heard is only 33,000 people live in Greenland, and about 20,000 Greenlanders living here in Denmark. Thank you very much for that, Shannon. The problem that we have, don't we, Lambert, is now that they've said this, and now that they've sent troops there, Trump's got his back up a little bit. That's got Trump's back up a little bit.
Yes, but the difficulty is if Europe had said, "Very interesting idea, Donald. Next time we see you, let's have a chat about it," and just basically noted it, it wouldn't have gone so far. But once again, Donald Trump is experimental, and what he says can change. But it's quite possibly he's just experimenting, just see how much he can get away with and what people say. So that's the thing.
Just throwing seeds out there.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's got lots of other things he can do as well. He's got options.
Yeah, he certainly has. Nilus.
Well, you could argue that Europe didn't really care about its sovereignty when the Nord Stream pipelines were blown up. They bent over backwards to try and cover it up. You know, I think everybody knows it was America that did it, and also that let America supply Europe a majority of Europe's energy in terms of gas and oil as well. I don't know if there is oil and gas under Greenland, but yeah, I think he's probably looking at that as well because he wants to have Europe dependent on it, and those sanctions or tariffs that they come into 10% or even 25%. He's talking in the future. If that's put on the gas and the oil that's coming into Europe, that would devastate the European economies even more.
Yes, I think so, and it's going to be a major problem. I mean, they only sent about only a few troops sent by Germany, few troops sent by everybody else, which I found absolutely ridiculous. And of course, the Germans are now going back, so obviously they're a little bit worried about the tariffs, and the EU are having an emergency meeting over the tariffs. Gordon.
Oh yeah.
Gordon, you got your hand up, buddy?
Oh, sorry, I forgot you're on mute. I forgot you're on mute.
That's okay. Not a problem.
Here's a way to get round the tariffs. Quite easy. See if they put the tariffs on, go to Russia and buy their oil.
Yeah, very, very straightforward, isn't it?
Easy.
And I tell you what, Gordon, actual fact, we're going from, shall we say, the fearless leader, one nation one people, one Germany. Friedrich Merz has turned into Joan Rivers, Lembit. He's now going, can we talk?
Well, Merz isn't really a very serious politician. Clearly not. He's not impressive by any stretch of the imagination. I think the whole problem we've got here is that with so many amateurs hanging around, we seem to just be at the behest of fourth division players who just don't know what they're doing. There's no other way of putting it. And it's depressing because they actually do make important decisions that can change our lives. So I would simply suggest that it's hard to predict how this will play out. And the reason I say that is because if you actually seriously think that Trump's going to invade and conquer Greenland, then that's one whole scenario. It's very odd. It's hard to understand how that can happen, really. If on the other hand you think he's bluffing, then why are we wasting time on it? This is a wait and see moment. You just have to wait and see what goes on next.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see, actually, because it just gets more and more stupid by the day. Now there's been one or two people have had a word, shall we say, and of course yours and I's, shall I say, favourite sweetheart. She's been at it as usual. Kaya Callis. China and Russia. They are the ones who benefit from divisions among allies. If Greenland's security at risk, we can address this issue inside NATO. Please can we not talk about it out in the open? Tariffs risk making Europe and the United States poorer and undermine our shared prosperity. We cannot let our dispute distract us from our core task of helping to end Russia's war against Ukraine. Bringing China and Russia into it, Lembit. The woman's obsessed.
Yeah, well, she's one trick pony and she's not good at the trick. And the reason for that is because she's not professional. She's not a good politician. And she certainly doesn't understand military strategy and she doesn't understand people. And she seems to hate Russia. She does. And her unhealthy love of the Azov battalion is kind of interesting at the same time.
Yes.
So where do we go with this? Well, it doesn't matter what she thinks. She's not relevant. The only thing that matters here is what Trump's likely to do. And as far as Ukraine's concerned, it's a lost war. And we know the outcome's going to be whatever Russia wants now.
Yeah, exactly that. And Vic makes a very good point, saying that even if it had trillions, of course, we're not going to be able to extract it because it's almost going to be absolutely impossible to actually abstract it sensibly. And of course, there are many other people who have had a word, shall we say, and a lot of people who are getting, we say, their knickers in a twist about this. We've had that idiot Piers Morgan coming out, Lembit, saying about this. We could buy back the USA and everything else, and any country who supports you in resisting this very good deal, we can impose tariffs against. There was a nice reply to him. But Piers, we could take over Britain within 48 hours if we wanted to, and there's nothing you could do about it. Luckily for you, we are sick and tired of invading Islamic nations.
Yeah, well, Piers, I know him quite well. He's making a lot of money in generating clickbait. Once again, he's not a professional politician. And so it's not really too important what he says. It's back to the same thing. Mr. Trump said he would make America great again. And he has, because all we talk about is America. And he has the audacity to suggest he's going to buy a country. And everyone takes it seriously. It's quite impressive, really. Oh, you can't do that. No, probably not. But you think I can, otherwise you wouldn't be so shrill. Where this comes to is just a bit of common sense, really. The Ukraine thing is a big mess caused by Europe itself and by bungling idiots in America, I have to say. And that needs to be fixed. That's a real problem that we've got. Because lots of people are actually dying. That's the thing. Lots of people are actually dying there, and it's horrible. In terms of the in terms of the two things, Greenland thing, I don't know how that's going to play out. It'll probably continue being full of words, but it's just the way these Europeans run around like headless chickens every time Trump says something provocative. So that's just going to be a distraction. But the real problem and the darkness haunting the continent is the relentless rising death toll in Ukraine, which interestingly doesn't get much airtime anymore because it's awkward. Because all the bombastic warmongering, foolish politicians seem to be in cahoots with a completely ignorant mainstream mainstream media, who still pretend that Zelensky can win and don't seem to question his habits.
Yes. And while we're talking about that, Lee Williams.
Quick one. Is Piers Morgan in the hospital? I don't know if he's in America or if it's London. He had a little fall.
Well, let's put it this way. If I was behind him, he'd be having a little fall, all right. Don't worry about that. We will check on that for you, but I've not seen anything on that, but we'll have a look into it for you. But one other thing I will say in Estonia, of course, Marco has been getting out of his pram once again. Marco Mikkelsen. All those involved in the Greenland issue must not lose sight of the central point: Russia and China's strategic objective. Kaya Kallas's best mate here, the West's collective defence, and isolates the United States from its allies. And he's always piping up with his very anti-Russia sort of tropes. But Marco, it is one of them, old son. I'd shut up if I were you. Otherwise, I might just tell the world that you had to resign from your former position for being caught with having inappropriate photos of a minor. So maybe it's a good thing for you to probably stay out of the public eye for the time being. Let's get into, while we're talking about this then, Lembit, because we've got a problem, haven't we? Because suddenly Zelensky's going to get very upset because, of course, how can I put it? While Vladimir Putin's sort of sitting there watching this Greenland thing play out with his bowl of popcorn between NATO and the Americans, Russia have changed their position, and that's going to be a problem. But Zelensky, first of all, given that NATO Greenland seems to be the favoured child now, and they're dropping Ukraine like a hot potato, Lembit.
Yeah, well, Ukraine's lost, and it's gone. The outcome will be whatever Russia chooses it to be, and it'll be defined on the basis of two criteria now: how many more lives they're willing to lose, how much more money they're willing to spend to achieve their military objectives. That's really the only consideration now. That determines the entire outcome of the Ukraine conflict. Greenland's exciting and it's new, and it gives all these Euro trash politicians a chance to have another whinge and moan, and it's it's pathetic, really. You just watch them going on and on and on, and it's like, why can't we just get rid of all of them and start again? Because I currently think European politics, with the current lot of idiots, with the welcome exception of Meloni in Italy and Orban in Hungary, the rest of it's just a busted flush now. If it wasn't really affecting people's lives, then it would be really funny. But it's not funny because probably, if your figures are correct, something like I know, I'm thinking about something like 40 people are dying every hour. Person's dying roughly every minute in Ukraine. And we ignore it because it's awkward. Because you and I were right. And all those people who said that Ukraine could be won, that Ukraine could win its war, were wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's not so much for a pat on the back, but the very idea that they thought this was a good idea is slightly staggering. And there's something that's come out of this that we now need to get into, because it is a major problem now, Lembit. Let's have a little look at this. Time to move on to this subject. So the NATO, shall we say, borders, has now turned around. He is sick of all the shenanigans that have gone on Lembit, and they are saying basically, if they want to talk to Russia from here on in, the only way we're going to get a peace deal is if we start talking about going back to the original borders from 1991, Lembit. This is Russia sort of laying a marker in the sand. Everybody was saying, oh, they're going to do this and they're going to do this. But as far as they're concerned now, with all the messing about that's gone on, with the attack that happened on Putin's residence, and of course the fact that they launched an Oreshnik pretty much straight after, Putin had some discussions. He stayed out of the limelight for a few days while they've been having these high-level discussions in Russia. And the new policy from them, we asked for this, didn't we?
Yeah, brought it on ourselves. There is an "I told you so" here. I don't say it with much joy because people are dying, but we did. We said, if we don't do a deal on Russia's terms, then you'll have to do a deal on Russia's terms a couple of 100,000 deaths later.
Yeah.
And Russia, in a sense, is doing something it's been entitled to do ever since 1990, which is expect the borders in 1990 to be honoured. And that's because James Baker said not 1 inch to the east. And that wasn't a theoretical statement. It was taken very seriously by the Russians, by the Soviets. And on that basis, the Russians made some pretty significant strategic concessions, for example, about Ukraine and other places, and dismantled their nuclear arsenal. And I just wonder if people just don't realize it because they've got such short memories.
Yeah, it does seem an absolute crazy thing.
Yeah.
And of course, from here on in, it's only going to get worse, I would think. Witkoff and Kushner are going back over to Russia. Putin's just going to play them, isn't he? I mean, he's had enough of the whole nonsense.
Yes, he's fed up with it. He's been super patient, and now he did the Ukraine thing, and that's a limited war. And note that the fact that, by the way, the situation in the mainstream media talks about 2 dead, 4 dead. That's incredible precision bombing. If although it's tragic for the people who are dying, and that's collateral damage when civilians die, it's surprising how precision it is.
Yeah.
So isn't some kind of a blitzkrieg to kill civilians. It's destroying the war machine, or those parts of the war machine that haven't been stolen by corrupt Ukrainians close to Zelensky. And I say that advisedly because nothing has been proved about the Venezuelan chap either, Maduro, but he's been arrested. So what Putin's now saying is that we were being patient. We had our 3 demands, but frankly, if you insist on wasting my time, then let's get the whole hog, and we'll just carry on until that's done. I doubt whether they'll invade, for example, Estonia or Latvia or Lithuania, anything like that. I think that they're more likely just to basically say
whole of Ukraine.
Well, they could do. Then they can say, anyone else want to go?
Yeah.
And this is the point. Yeah, go on.
This is where we have a problem, though, don't we, Lembit? Because the EU have put themselves in a rock and a hard place. They don't want to buy from Russia. Now they suddenly want to talk to Russia, knowing full well that America are walking away. And in fact, the actions of the EU, or shall we say, the other NATO countries in putting troops into Greenland has angered Trump. We know, I mean, eventually, even with the best will in the world, at the end of the day, if Trump says we're having Greenland, they're not going to be able to stop them. But the problem is, isn't it, when you, as Kissinger once said, being an enemy of America is ill-advisable, but being a friend of America is absolutely fatal. And they're finding this out now, aren't they, Lemon?
Yeah, well, America's taking a sort of isolationist position now. America first. Trump said he'd do it. His base would probably be quite pleased about that. And who can blame them? What has Trump got in common with people like David Lammy and Keir Starmer? Nothing. Nothing at all. And Macron and Merz and all those people. So he's just forging ahead, trying to build his empire, while the Western hegemony is collapsing. And I suppose what he's hoping is, once the dust settles, the main power brokers will be China, Russia, America, with probably India coming up quite quickly as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's going to get even worse because, of course, everything that's happening here, the stupidity of everything that's going on when it comes to everything that they're saying about Russia. The hit first of all with the Oreshnik that caused major shockwaves to go through as it has done the last time Russia launched an Oreshnik. But we are reliably informed that they've got over 300 of these already, and they're producing around about 20, anywhere between 20 and 30, taking depending on who you believe, of these per month. And of course, they're the same price as one of those absolutely idiotic missiles that can't knock the hypersonics, the Patriot battery missile system. So they're only anywhere between 3.5 to 5 million to build Lembic, which is quite staggering, isn't it?
How much damage can they do?
Oh, they're absolutely. Let's put it this way: the two areas that they hit, the first one was in Yashmush or Yarmouth. I always can't pronounce that name correctly, but that absolutely eradicated the place. And the hit in Lvov has done the same thing, so much so, and you know how bad the damage is, Lembit, when they stick a blanket ban on any photographs coming out of there.
Why?
Because the damage is so bad, they don't want it out there and known.
The Russians and the Chinese have fantastic equipment. The Americans do too. The Russians are using it. And meanwhile, you've got incompetent pilots who keep crashing some of the planes that they're being given in terms of the hardware provided by the West. That's the Ukrainians doing that. And the Russians just keep getting more and more experienced. And that's what's happening. I'm kind of sad to see it, really, because all these people are dying needlessly.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no prospect of anyone winning apart from Russia. No prospect. And it's just somehow they can't admit it. It's awful. It's awful, actually. It's awful.
Yeah, just putting an answer here to a question posted, and we'll have a look at that in a short while as soon as we come to that, because we're coming to that point, Andy, just to let you know. So we will answer that. Lee Williams.
I was going to say, have they made any more progress into areas of Ukraine, of Russia?
Yes, yeah, and we'll get into
okay.
that on Tuesday when we have James Tweedy, who obviously is from Sputnik and is very up on the Russia situation and everything else. We'll show you all the advances and everything that's been made. They are 10 kilometers away from Zaporizhia. They are absolutely, at the moment, hitting all the rail infrastructure, all the electrical infrastructure, and they're literally plunged into darkness. Now, this was always going to happen because, of course, they gave them the chance to try and come to terms. And, of course, now they're trying to push them into terms. The Ukrainians themselves have hit Mariupol and left the place without electricity, but only for a couple of hours. And then, of course, the Russians were able to restore it. Not so in Kiev, Lembit, and other cities such as Kharkiv. There's something going on here because the Russians are hitting the cities and the rail lines of all the major cities in Ukraine at the moment, in the Donbass, Zaporizhia, obviously in Sumy and places like that. So it looks as though they're keeping everybody guessing of where they're going to make the next big push. But the fact that they're knocking out all the railway lines and the supply lines as well as keeping them in the dark constantly, is quite troubling for the Ukrainians, isn't it, Lembit?
Well, it is troubling because they don't have any power. They don't have. They seem not to have air superiority anymore. They don't seem to have control of their airspace over Ukraine. Russia seems to be running that. Obviously, the missiles are just absolutely smashing the hell out of the place. For any way you look at it, it's just a turkey shoot. It's a scalable war where
yeah, go on, Lembit.
no, I was going to say where Russia decides how far and how fast they go.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to let you know, by the way, that 90 billion loan that Ursula von der Leyen is sorting out and everything else, 50 billion of that 90 billion loan goes to pay off the previous loan because the banks want their money back. They still haven't had their cash. So Ursula, when you're talking about this, please don't leave that bit out because people might get confused and think Ukraine are getting all that money where they're actually only going to get a little bit. When everybody says, oh, there's more money on the way to help them out and everything else. Now, we have a problem as well. The stupidity of the EU. Now, we know that knows no bounds. Old Tombstone Teeth or Terminator, Alexander Stubb, he's being put forward, Lembit, as the person to go and speak to the Russians. After Kaya Kallis, he's got to be about the worst person to go.
Why do you say that?
Sorry?
Why do you say that?
Well, some of the rhetoric that's been coming out of Alexander Stubb towards the Russians has been very vitriolic indeed.
Well, they think he's a tough talker. Actually, he's just a fool. And it's just a strange thing. It's a strange thing whenever you're watching bad people promoting other bad people, but it's not unusual. That often happens. Starmer's cabinet is so abysmal because he is abysmal himself, and bad managers very rarely promote somebody who's better than they are.
Yeah, and of course he had this to say. He's talking about all of this to do with the Arctic, and he's put himself forward as the guy to go to talk not only about this. He's trying to play the diplomat now. Merz wants to go and talk to the Russians. Stu wants to talk to the Russians. Macron wants to talk to the Russians. Maloney has turned around and said that it's complete nonsense, and that, of course, she should be the one that goes and talks to the Russians. Surely the obvious choice to go and talk to the Russians is Orban, isn't it, Lemby?
No, Orban would be by far the most sensible, but that's why they don't want him. He would actually say, okay, how do we resolve this? What do you need? And sorry about all that rubbish. But they don't want that because they're dumb. Absolutely dumb.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times have we discussed this, and each time, I don't know, each time I just feel more depressed that these ignoramuses don't learn anything. And as you say, they've forgotten about Ukraine because it's bad publicity now, supporting a losing side. And people like Ursula von der Leyen, they're just so unlikable. And then they go to Greenland and they can't do anything there. They haven't got any power in any of these cases. That's the point. They're powerless. And that's why it's a difficult thing.
I think you're absolutely right. Here's the thing that I want to talk to you about, though. Everybody seems to want to go and talk now, and of course there are other people. There is only one country that seems that they don't want to talk. Lembit, and guess who that is? It's him. Amongst various things that are going on with Starmer, he lost the plot, Lembit, over photos of him on X in a bikini seem to be floating about. And he had a complete meltdown about this, saying that, oh no, they're images of children and this, that, and the other. But it was actually Starmer and his association with, shall we say, 3 Ukrainian male models that people were really alluding to. And Starmer's out there going, X has got to clean up its act. If not, we're going to ban it. Do you think that's right, or do you think everybody that's going, hang on a minute, you didn't have an inquiry into grooming gangs, you didn't have an inquiry into, you didn't want to have an inquiry into Jimmy Savile. You've appointed judges who've let various people like Hugh Edwards off. And of course, they've got your involvement with Ukrainian male models. You're a fine one to talk about standards.
I haven't heard this bikini thing. I take it it's all photoshopped.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
There's an influence.
It's a grok thing. So they get very upset at Grok making images where people can say, Grok, put Starmer in a bikini and then post it online.
Is that what it was about?
Yes.
Oh, for goodness sake. That's just ridiculous. Frankly, if somebody did that to me, I'd hope they'd at least do something about my belly. but I mean, it's ridiculous, because they spend too much time with the Macrons, I think. Starmer's he's a joke politician. He's not a serious prime minister, desperately unpopular, incapable of dealing anything positive. And when you look at his record, didn't notice Jimmy Savile, even though he keeps going on about having been head of the Crown Prosecution Service. And then you've got that mystery of those 3 handsome young Ukrainian men accused of damaging Keir Starmer's property that most people didn't even know Keir Starmer owned. All these rumours about whether Starmer knew them or not, and so on. But the strangest thing is, if this is a matter of national security, and it is, if Mr. Starmer has been essentially attacked by proxy by these people, this should have been urgently dealt with, because it's in our interests to know that the Prime Minister is safe. It's good for democracy. It's a very big mystery why they haven't taken action quickly. Why does it take a year to figure this out if it was just common criminality?
Yes, exactly that. They're going to court in April, and at the moment, Starmer is busy trying to have this done in camera, Lembit, so that there's no reporting on it whatsoever.
Yeah, it's there's something very mysterious about that. I've been told there's been various gagging orders, which I don't know if there have been or not. But it doesn't help Starmer's credibility because he hasn't done anything to speed this up. And why April? What have they had to spend the last 11 months studying, or the 11 months in between, or the 12 months studying, when they can put Lucy Connolly in prison in a matter of days for hurty words on the internet, which were in no way a threat to Keir Starmer?
Yeah,
he just can't help. We're all beating around the bush because we don't want to get taken off air, but clever viewers, such as those who tune into warrenthornton.com, can draw their own conclusions about what's going on.
Yes, absolutely. Sean Murphy, and then I don't know if Shannon wanted to say anything or not. Sean Murphy.
Well, Lambert and Warren, I think the reason that their case has been deferred for so long is because they don't want somebody in the court saying, okay, them saying, yeah, they did it, and the question is, and why did you do it? That's what they don't want coming out.
Yes.
Why did you do it? And that's what Starmer doesn't want, when it turns out he probably never bloody paid them, and that's why they done it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
Well, we don't know that, just for the sake of not getting.
No, we don't.
deleted.
But I mean, the probability is that.
Well, the point is, everybody, what you've done there is you've highlighted what everyone is asking: what's going on?
Yeah.
The story here is what's going on. Did Starmer know them? And it's created an entire industry of satire, none of which can be shared on air. but everyone's heard
Au
it.
contraire.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
well, honestly,
what-
it's a,
what-
it's. Let me put it this way: this whole fiasco is a kick up Keir Starmer's reputational derriere.
Yeah, absolutely that. And of course, anybody who dares to mention it, of course, Starmer is beginning to threaten. In fact, we've got one of his law enforcement officers here paying someone a visit. Have a look at this.
I saw that, you son of a bitch! You did that on purpose! You're gonna wait till you agree! I got the evidence! Put the evidence in the car!
But Daddy,
Put the evidence in the car! I gotta barbecue your ass in molasses!
It does seem that they've massively, that the police and Starmer have massively overreacted. And it's almost a case of, I think, the gentleman doth protest too much, Lembit.
Well, everybody's suspicious because of this. It's like the Macron thing. If you're president of France, why don't you discourage your partner from going on and on and on to try to prove she's a woman? There's only one person to whom it matters, really. That's Brigitte Macron, and maybe to an extent, to Mr. Macron.
Yes.
But what they do in the boudoir is their own business. They don't care, and that's the point. Now we've got Starmer. He's stopped somebody coming from the Netherlands now. That the blonde lady, who apparently isn't allowed in because of hurty words, or she's been critical of him, or something like that. It's just a never-ending diet of censorship and weird oversensitivity.
Yes, I believe her name is Ava Varling
That's the one.
or something.
That's the one.
Here we go. Here she is. Let's have
That was quick.
Yeah, let's have a little look.
Is this from your photo album?
It is, of course.
The public good.
Personal.
So I just got an email I didn't expect. I have officially been banned from traveling to the United Kingdom. I'm not allowed to enter the country because the UK government under Keir Starmer deems my presence in the UK, and I quote, not conducive to the public good. I don't know what that means. Since when is being conducive to the public good a requirement to enter a country? I mean, especially the United Kingdom, where, if I'm not mistaken, thousands of illegal immigrants enter through the channel every day. Every day. Nobody's asking them to be conducive to the public good. But I cannot come. And now this email came out of the blue, in a sense that I didn't apply for an ETA now. I went back in September to join the Tommy Robinson rally where I spoke. And I was planning, I should say, to do that again in May. Guess not. Guess not. And now the timing is quite suspicious, isn't it? Because 3 days ago, I posted this about Keir Starmer, calling out his hypocrisy that he wants to ban X because of women's safety, whilst at the same time he's the one who's allowing these migrant gang rapes to happen. Obviously, he's just doing that because he wants to ban free speech, and that is also the reason why I am now not anymore allowed to go to the UK. But it's pretty dystopian. I mean, it's a very severe limitation of my freedom, and as it says in the email, I cannot appeal. I'm not convicted of any crime. I'm not under suspicion of any crime. Keir Starmer just decided that someone like me is not welcome in the UK.
And of course, we do have to put a caveat on that. That of course he is very pro-Israel, shall we say? Lembit, but this is Starmer just cracking down left, right, and centre for no good reason, is it? I mean, people are allowed to say what they want, and you're allowed to turn around and ignore them if you don't like what they're saying.
Keir Starmer's completely lost the plot now. There's not even a pretense of free expression in Britain anymore. It's so bad, I've even considered relocating my TV station to America, answering Donald Trump's call to go to the land of the free and freedom, or the land of freedom and opportunity, because they're now trying to extend Ofcom's powers to the internet, to online. Why? Because and people don't trust and respect the mainstream media anymore because it's full of rubbish, and it colludes with the state, and it's all a big mess. But what we've got instead, sadly, tragically, really, is an attempt by all of us to accommodate these increasingly stringent anti-freedom rules, and a prime minister who shows himself less and less capable with every time he does it. What's going to happen, I think, is eventually the public will say, no, we just withdraw our consent. This country is now ungovernable under you. That's the only thing I think that could cause an early election. When Starmer says stuff and people say, sod off.
Yeah.
Just sod off. Where he just turns up and he's relentlessly booed and heckled and gets slow hand claps all over the country. And I think that's where we're heading now, because he won't leave voluntarily. And there's no one really in the Labour Party who can take over credibly. Andy Burnham, I've always thought, is quite good, but he will have trouble getting elected because I'm not sure Labour could win any by-election at the moment.
Okay. What about Lisa Nandy, Lembit?
What about her?
Well,
She basically suggested, if you're watching this live, she suggested that Nigel Farage is a fascist. And I tweeted that if she was a schoolgirl and she said one of her teachers was a fascist, she'd get detention. Fascist. I mean, Lisa Nandy, she lost all my respect when she made some absolutely asinine comment recently. I can't remember even what it was, but it was so stupid. I thought you shouldn't even be in student politics, let alone in grown-up politics. And as it is, she just beggars belief in terms of her mundanity and childishness and superficiality. I'm sorry to say it. She might be okay if you had a drink with her or something, but there's no way that she should be a junior minister, let alone a cabinet minister. What do you think?
Oh, well, she did turn around to me once and said that she was writing a book on ethics. And I turned around and said, great, I'm writing one on Sussex. It's quite staggering.
Very good.
The problem that we have, of course, with this absolutely stupid woman and those people and the people that are there, when you look at everybody that's there, there's almost nobody, is there, that's ever going to take over. And while there's nobody in the Labour Party, the Bilderberg Group's idea of someone to take over is West Streeting. Of course, that might be. He's another gentleman who likes to spot a bowling from the pavilion end. The problem that we have, Lembit, and I wanted to get into this as well, because she was having a go at reform. We've had Robert Jenrick now, because Kemi Badenoch's numbers have gone up a little bit, and he's been told he's got no chance of heading the Conservative Party in the near future. He's now jumping ship and going across to reform. Rats sinking ship, or is this just politicians basically trying to save their backside?
I think that Jenrick's leaving for two reasons. One is he doesn't like his status in the Conservative Party. Number two, he thinks he can improve it in reform. And ideologically, maybe he just feels a little bit more motivated by the reform proposition, which at least has an element of hope in it. The problem Jenrick's got is his backstory, which is really questionable. And in terms of where he stands and where reform voters stand. But the biggest thing here is reform just need to watch it, because if they start looking like Tory 2.0, then it's going to be a lot worse, a lot worse for him and them, because suddenly the public say, oh, no, this is no better. And then the situation, then the political field is open for groups like Advance UK and Ben Habib, who's very capable and very impressive. You may not have heard of him very much, but he's a very intelligent man, and I think that he's got a good chance of getting in there and doing something potentially quite useful.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always thought of Robert Jenrick as pretty much an anagram of the constituency he represents, which is Newark. I'll leave you to work that one out. Very, very, very simply, Lembit. These politicians that just cross the aisle, though, I mean, they can't be trusted at all, can they? I mean,
They
none of
can.
them can be trusted.
They
Can
can.
they?
You can change parties on principle if you think the old parties left you behind. That's what happened to me. I used to be involved with the Lib Dems, and I could see the party just falling to bits, and it did fall to bits, really. Sadly, it just became illiberal and superficial and intellectually challenged. For example, it thinks there's a climate crisis, and they're obsessed with gender politics. These things don't really affect most people. And
let me ask you about that then, Lembit, because I've got a bit of a problem here. When we're talking about the climate, now we've spoken about this on the show. I don't think you were on the show when we were talking about this, but you're totally against climate change, as am I. Yet there is
against human. They claim that humans are generating significant climate change. That's what I'm against. Climate has always changed.
But my problem and my issue is that absolutely everybody is staying silent about an ecological disaster that is waiting to happen, which is at the moment we've got people trying to board tankers, okay, and then take away the oil. What happens when navies start escorting those tankers and they can't then get at the oil and they decide to hit the oil? And only the other day we had Ukraine launching drones oil platforms of Russia's in the Caspian Sea. Now, it only takes a massive oil spill out of 10, say, it to escalate to the point where they start hitting each other's oil tankers and then bombing each other's oil platforms. And we've got an ecological disaster way above what we might ever have with any of these climate change loonies. But not one of them is mentioning this, Lembit.
Well, those are still local issues. The habitats will recover. The difference is that a problem with, for example, a massive oil spill involving hundreds of thousands of liters, or even millions of liters, that's bad locally, but it doesn't change the whole world. The reason the whole green agenda about climate emergency is so bad is because it implies that we're affecting the whole world. And it's costing us trillions. It might cost millions to clean up an oil spill, but it's costing us trillions at the moment, literally trillions, to follow this false idol of climate emergency. And it is. It's just not true. It is a false idol. And I'm sad to say that it'll obviously fall down eventually, but it hasn't fallen down yet. It seems to me that we've probably got another 10 years worth of death to logic to endure before we actually end up with a common sense reply. And I'd say probably 5 trillion a year. That's probably what I think it's costing. Yeah, it's 50 trillion wasted. Some people getting very rich on it, but it's wasted money.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of other ones before we finish the first part of the show. Just to let you know, in the news, a Philippine island or from the Philippines, a colonel in the army dared to criticize the current Marcos regime, and he's being kicked out of the military for doing so and being court-martialed. Of course, the Philippines is well known for, should we say, when people in the army start criticizing the government get very, very nervous because that's the way of normally, shall we say, overthrowing the government. And another thing, of course, people always think North Korea are a bit backward, but South Korea have been sending spy drones, well, 10 of them to be precise, into North Korea. North Korea wasted no time in managing to jam them, and of course, find out that they did indeed get sent by South Korea with guidance from the Americans, Lembit. The North Koreans have done very, very well, haven't they? Because we'll get on to Iran in a minute. But the North Koreans keep their borders very, very secure. And unlike some that we're going to mention in a minute, they don't let NGOs inside. So they can't be overthrown from the inside of their country.
Yeah, North Korea has got a bad rap on outside North Korea because its enemies run the mainstream media. I'd love to meet Kim Jong-un and see what he's really like. Hope to sometime. And if you think about it, you might think that they're just cavemen rubbing the sticks together. Not really, because they've got nuclear program.
Yes.
and more than that, they've got intercontinental ballistic missiles that can reach America. So they're doing all right.
Yes, they are. Yeah, and of course, when we're talking about that, and lots of people sort of talking about that, it is something that, how can I put this? They're only going to go there for another go. But North Korea have got all the toys, and I've always been struck by Kim Jong-un that how can I put this, Lembit? He's got all the toys and no one to play with, and he desperately would like someone to play with.
He can play with China. China and North Korea have a good relationship, and he likes launching the rockets. But what he should really be aiming for now is a space program. Wouldn't it be amazing if, as in a certain series I watched called For All Mankind, spoiler alert here, the North Koreans are the first to make it to Mars. It's a big mess how they get there, but that's the idea. It's quite possible.
Or as some turn around and say, and I'm not one of these, by the way, as some turn around and say they could be the first ones to land on the moon. The things that we have. Thank you for watching the first half of the show. Of course, in conjunction with Unprecedented TV, which of course is Lembit's wonderful new station. Do go and give that a look. There are tons and tons of programs on there, and it is well worth a look. But for those of you on the live stream, we will see you tomorrow. If you want to come across to warrenthornton.com, we're going to get into some videos now that are not conducive to being broadcast on mainstream media.